Good morning. Dr. Mahal. Okay. Good morning. I want to talk with you this morning about how making can make a difference in disaster relief. So, my organization is a disaster relief organization, and we work with makers all over the world to solve problems fast, to save lives, to help build local organizations and resilience, and to help towards sustainability. When there is a big earthquake, like the Sichuan earthquake in 2008, you often see news stories like this that show it is very difficult to get supplies in to help the people who have been hurt by the disaster. Between 60 and 80% of all of the money that goes into disaster response globally is spent on buying stuff and moving stuff. What if we could make some of that locally? What if we could make more of that locally? Using local makers. There is a huge opportunity to go from the problem of these severe logistical challenges as are faced in disaster responses, and using high-tech industrial knowledge, lots of which you can find in Shenzhen and has been celebrated here today at Maker Faire. So Field Ready is about trying to make useful things. It's about helping disaster-affected people and the people, the aid workers who are trying to help them. You make what you need, when and where you need it. And it's about trying to transform aid in ways that are faster, better, and cheaper. If it's faster, you can help people more quickly. You make it locally, you can help people more quickly rather than waiting for the supplies to come from outside. If it's cheaper, you can help more people for the same amount of money. If it's better, you can help create local livelihoods, you can make responses that are more appropriate to the local context. This is normally how we do things in disaster response. We have the manufacturers, we have the raw materials, we have aeroplanes and boats and trains and lorries and trucks and tractors and horses and yaks and Sherpas in the Himalayas. And finally, you will get to the people who have been affected. This is crazy! Field Ready's idea is to make locally. To find makers and manufacturers where they exist in the local area, and if they don't exist, to help start businesses, invest in businesses that can make and manufacture supplies in communities. So this is the transformation we're trying to make, and this is the transformation that makers are making around the world. We make prototypes, we repair items, spare parts, this is really important. We make customized parts for individual people who have individual needs. In this case, a wrist brace that perfectly fits the person, and we do mass production. Our process, a bit like what we just heard, we assess. We design something, and then we make something, but then we go back to this again. We go back to assess, and we do this a few times, right? Every maker will know you have to prototype. You have to iterate. And when we know it's right, then we publish the designs openly. Or sometimes, perhaps, some of our work is in the Make magazine or share the Maker Fairs. And then we try and do events like this to encourage other people, other makers, to do the same thing. So for example, there is a country called Vanuatu. Do you know this country? Vanuatu is a small country in the Pacific Ocean. And they have lots of volcanoes. The volcano erupted, and lots of people lost their homes. The islands were evacuated. So, the people, the old people, and the people with disabilities needed somewhere to sleep. But they were put into a building that did not have any furniture. There was no beds. And the aid agencies, the government, who was trying to help them, said, we need beds. Problem was, all the beds on the local market had sold out. And it was going to take 6 weeks for more beds to come to Vanuatu from China. So, what we did is we worked with a local company. We talked with the old people and the disabled people, the men and the women, about the design. And we came up with not a bed, but another solution. What people wanted, people didn't want a bed. They didn't want to sleep on the floor. And if you change that design thinking, then you can make a solution. These materials were borrowed. We did not pay for them. We borrowed them from the hardware store for 6 weeks. We did not cut them. We did not drill into them. At the end, when the people returned back to the island, all of those materials went back to the hardware store for sale. So it's very cheap, very fast. We work with local people to make sure they understand the technology. Even local people who have never studied, never been to school, maybe don't know how to write, they should know how to use tools. They should understand the technology, understand what's happening. We work with 3D printers. We take them and we work with them in refugee camps or in remote areas to fix spare parts. We work directly with refugees, designing with them what they need. We help local entrepreneurs to make medical devices or other businesses. We work remotely, so we have to work on solar panels and car batteries. This is a project to support local entrepreneurs to enable mass production. We do lots of training to help local makers in South Sudan here to learn how to do the kind of thing that we do in the field. In Syria, Syria is a country that is now 8 years with a civil war. It's a big conflict, it's a big problem in that part of the world, all over the world. So we helped to build a makerspace inside Syria. And it was a local makerspace, and we hired some local engineers. And one of the products they made, they did some prototyping, they did some testing, and this product, it's getting close to the final product now, is a heavy lifting airbag. Locally made by local engineers. All local materials, nothing imported. The only import was information, knowledge, designs. We have a global team. These airbags, you put them into the building. When it has been bombed, the building has collapsed. You can lift up the building. You can pull people out. Rescue people. This has saved maybe 40 lives in Syria. This is made by makers. So we can do things locally, they can be cheaper. We can do things locally, they can be faster, they can be better, more appropriate, and it supports local businesses. And one of the things we have to do as makers to make all of this possible is we have to choose which projects we want to work on, what designs we want to do, what problems we want to solve, and we need to share our designs openly for other people to use. That does not necessarily mean you can't make a business. But a lot of the projects that we are talking about are funded by governments. But a lot of them are done on business contracts as well. Some ideas for the future. In the future, maybe there is a crisis in the Himalayas, in the mountains. And there is a broken medical device in the hospital, in the clinic. And they identify the broken part. And the drone goes to collect the part and brings it back to the maker. The maker looks at the part and says, ah, I can 3D print one. I can make a spare. I can make a copy. And they fabricate the spare part, and the drone takes it back to the client. We could maybe do this in the Himalayas or in the Pacific, and there are lots of islands, or in the lakes region in Africa. So you can imagine a future where drones and makers, maker spaces, and drone ports work together very closely to try and do the last mile delivery in very difficult places to reach. The Internet of Production. Earlier in the presentation, I showed you manufacturers working with communities. This idea of working closely. But what if we can make a network? What if we can network together lots of makers, lots of manufacturers, all over an affected region, all over a country. We can decentralize and distribute manufacturing. And for many, many countries that have never had manufacturing before, this means that makers can begin to have businesses for the first time, and begin to have jobs for the first time in making. So we're building something called the Internet of Production, trying to network them together. And we're moving from the idea where we make things in one place, and we ship the products around the world, to a system where we have makers and factories everywhere networked together. This is why Shenzhen is so exciting to me. What happens in Shenzhen, what is made in Shenzhen, is the basis of industry everywhere else. The tools, the machines, the 3D printers, the technologies that are used to enable this are made in Shenzhen. The industry here supports industry everywhere. And this is why it's so exciting to be talking at the Maker Faire in Shenzhen for me. Because you're making this world possible with all of the innovations coming out of this city. If you want to get involved in the Internet of Production, we are building a community of people who are interested to hear more, to find out more. You can go to internetofproduction.org. At the moment, it just goes to a MailChimp list, and you can sign up. We have a website on the way. Also, if you want to share your projects, your documentation for how you make things, go to openknowhow.org. And there is a website that helps you to, with some standards that helps to share the different projects. But for the moment, sign up on there and we will keep you posted. You sign up to join the email list, we will be in touch with you in English and in Chinese, if you like. My colleague Cecilia, can you stand up? Cecilia is from this part of China, so we can work in English and Chinese, and we can help you to document your projects and share them using this open standard. So, I want to try and thank you for your attention. I want to try and get across the idea that makers can make a difference, that sustainability can often start in times of crisis by supporting local people. And I would like to invite you to sign up to the different websites, or get in touch and get involved. Thank you.